Continuing on in the Tefillah share by Rabbi Yishmael Omer, we did the first few rules, the Kal V'chomer, Gzeir Shava, and Binyanav, and now we're up to the fourth and the fifth rule, Miklal Ufrat Umiprat Uchlal. The first of these rules, the Klal Uprat, is a general statement that is then limited with a prat, with a specification, and a prat, a specific statement that is broadened by a klal. So, the rule is as follows: Miklal uprat. If the Torah writes a klal and then writes a prat, ein bichlal elamasha beprat. The prat limits the klal, and we say that the halacha applies only to the prat. The best way to understand this is with an example, and the Pirush Rashi Ksav Yad on the Torah's Kayanim, as well as the Avodram over here, and Rabbeinu Bechai at the end of Parshas Ba'aloischa, all bring an example, a very familiar example from Parshas Kiseitze in the halacha of shatnez. It says loy silbash shatnez tzemer upishtim yachtov. So the words loy silbash shatnez is a general statement. Don't wear a beged that has a mixture of two minim. One might think that any two minim, even wool and polyester, would be a problem. But then the Torah limits it. Tzemer upishtim yachtov. Only if it's wool and linen, that's what's asur. So we say it was a klal and then a prat. Ein bichlal elamasha beprat. The Torah is limiting it and saying a beged that can have two minim, but it just can't have the two minim of wool and linen. And hu adin vice versa. Prat uchlal. That means that the general statement that comes second expands and broadens the prat. The example they give to that is also in Parshas Kitzei about Hashavas Aveda. By Hashavas Aveda, the pasuk says, "V'chein ta'aseh l'chamoyroi, v'chein ta'aseh l'simlasai." You should do it if you find a donkey, if you find a garment. But then it says, "V'chein ta'aseh l'chol Aveda sachicha." You should do to any Aveda. So the prat would have been mashma that you only have a chi of Hashavas Aveda by a donkey or by a garment. But then it says, "V'chein ta'aseh l'chol Aveda sachicha," to say nasa klal moisif ala prat, that the klal is moisif on the prat, that the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda is not limited to a donkey and a garment, but it's kol aveda sachicha. But there is an obvious kasha on these rules of klal uprat and prat uchlal, and that is that if it's taka true that the second statement eliminates the first statement, the klal uprat we only do masha beprat, or the prat uchlal we add what it says in the klal. So why is the first statement written bichlal? Maybe that's not the wording we should use for this. But why is it written altogether, the first statement? Let it just say, Loi silbash tzemer upishtim yachtov. Why does it say Loi silbash shatnez? It only answers tzemer upishtim, and also by the Aveda. It should say, V'chein ta'aseh l'chol Aveda sachicha. Why does it say V'chein ta'aseh l'chamoyroi l'simlasai? Why does it say the first statement, if anyway, the second statement eliminates the first statement? And this kasha is asked by Tosfos in Nazir, Daf Lamed Hey Amid Beis, asks this kasha and brings a teretz in the name of Rabbeinu Peretz that the reason why the Torah wrote the first statement is to show us that we shouldn't have a limud that will eliminate the second statement. In other words, let's say you have a prat, loy silbash tzemer upishtim yachtav, and it wouldn't say a klal. So I would say, okay, I know you're not allowed to wear wool and linen, but maybe you'll come and make some sort of drasha, kal v'chomer, a binyanav, some drasha to include other minim. So the Torah says, no, klal uprat, loy silbash shatnez, but which shatnez? Only tzemer upishtim yachtav. And it's telling you a beferish miyut that you shouldn't expand it by means of any other of the rules of the Yud Gimel Midos. And who had in the Prat Uchlal? The Torah doesn't just say V'chein ta'aseh l'chol Aveda sachicha, because then you might come and make a drasha somewhere to say that it's only certain types of Avedas. So the Torah says Pratim, V'chein ta'aseh l'chamoyroi, V'chein ta'aseh l'simlasai, V'chein ta'aseh l'chol Aveda sachicha, to show that what ends up being the rule is the general statement at the end, and Memela, even if you'll have a makam to make a drasha, you shouldn't make that drasha. So that's why the Torah says klal uprat and prat uklal. That's rule number 4 and rule number 5 here in this statement. Now the sixth rule is klal uprat uklal. A klal followed by a prat, a specific statement, and then followed again by a klal. And here the Baraisa says what to do with such a thing. Then we say that it's to infer things that are similar to the prat. Not limited to the prat. If it would just be klal uprat, it would be limited to the prat. But addition of the second klal says that you could add things that are similar to the prat. The example to this is in Bava Metzia, Daf Nun Zayin Amid Beis, talking about a ganav. The rule is that a ganav is chayiv kefel, he has to pay a penalty of double. So in Parashas Mishpatim it says, al kol dvar pesha, on anything that he steals, he's chayiv kefel. Then that's a klal. Then it says a prat, al shor, al chamor, al seh, al salma, an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment. And then it says, al kol aveda, asher yoyim akiyuzeh, which again, Chazal Darshan, this is referring to something that's stolen that you're mechuyev to pay kefel. So it's klal, prat, uklal. So what's the halach over there? We say that you're chayiv kefel not only by these specific things, you're chayiv kefel by everything, but only if it's ke'ein haprat, only if it's a davar hamitaltel, a movable object. But if you steal karka, gnevas karka, then you're not chayiv to pay double, because that's not similar to shar, chamar, seh, and salma. And also it has to be gufay mamain, something that has intrinsic value, as opposed to a shtar. If someone steals a contract that testifies to a chayiv, then there's no chayiv to pay back double. But the reason why it has to be similar, a davar amitaltel v'gufay mamain, is because it's a klal ufrat uchlal, that there's a klal and then a prat, but then it was generalized again by the klal. So it's not to teach us everything, but it's not limited to the prat, it's something in between. It has to be similar to the prat, that it has to be a davar hamitaltel v'gufay mamain, then you're chayiv kefel. The seventh rule has two sides to it. Miklal shehu tzarech lefrat, umiprat shehu tzarech lechlal. And this can get a little confusing. What this means is a general statement that needs the prat to clarify its meaning. It's not just a klal and then a prat, but the prat helps clarify what the klal meant, and also vice versa, miprat shehu tzarech lechlal. And the easiest way to explain this is with an example, because it's hard, the wording of it is hard, but the example shows clearly what this midah is. And the example to this, the primary example, is a sugya in Chulin Daf Peiches about the mitzvah of Kisui Hadam. Mitzvah of Kisui Adam, just a brief introduction. The pasuk in Achrei Mois says that when you shecht a wild animal, a chaya, a non-domesticated animal, or an oif, a bird, so the halacha is v'chisahu be'afar. You're supposed to cover the blood with afar, with dirt. This is not a carbon, this is regular chulin, but shechting a chaya or an oif, there's a din of kisui hadam. The whole sixth parak of chulin is devoted to this parak kisui hadam. So the Gemara there on Daf Peiches Amid Beis says v'chisahu be'afar. You should cover the blood with dirt. V'chisahu is a general statement. Sounds like cover it with anything. But then it says be'afar. So the general statement is marbe, any powdery substance. Doesn't have to be dafka afar. It would sound like any powdery substance, like the sawdust of a carpenter, the Gemara says, that would be good enough. So the Gemara says, wait a second, Ema kisohu klal afar prat. Say it's a klalu prat, so even though the klal is mashma anything, but the prat, afar, is a prat. So klalu prat, ein b'chlal l'masha b'prat. Afar in midi achrini loy, it should only work with afar. So the Gemara answers no, that over here it's unusual because it's a klal shehu tzarech lefrat. Meaning what? When the pasuk says v'chisahu, to cover, there are two types of things that can cover. You can cover something by putting a bowl on top of it, stam cover the blood like that, or you could cover it by spreading a powdery layer that absorbs the blood. There's two different taichas in the word covering. It could be a covering like a pot or a bowl on top of it, or covering it through afar type of substance, a powdery substance. So how do we know what the word kisui means in the Torah? The word ba'afar doesn't just represent a specific statement, but it also clarifies for us what the kisui that we're talking about is. That's a klal shehu tzarech lefrat. And memela, a klal that the definition is only clarified through the prat, doesn't have the regular rule of ein b'chlal elamasha b'prat. Rather, it adds a little bit, but it doesn't add as much as a klal prat uklal. Klal prat uklal, we said anything that's similar. Here we're not going to say anything that's movable is good enough to cover it. Like we said before by kefel. A davar hamitaltal, anything movable similar to shar, chamar, san, salma. So you'll say anything movable similar to afar. No, it doesn't get that general, but it means anything that can fit into that definition of kisui is good enough. For example, that sawdust of a carpenter, that is a powdery substance, so if it's similar enough that it can fit into this new definition of the klal, as it was qualified by the prat, then that's good enough for this mitzvah. So again, when there's a klal and a prat, usually it's the prat in, midi achrini loy, only the prat is good enough. But if it's a klal shehu tzarich lefrat, that you needed the word be'afar to show me what the word kisui means in this pasuk, a klal shehu tzarich lefrat, then it's marbe more than just the prat. It's anything that fits into this word, anything that's a powdery substance that can cover the blood. And vice versa, by miprat she'utzarech l'chlal, we don't have to get into the example of it, I'll just be mitzayin, that in the sugya in Bechayris, Yud Tes Amud Aleph, it has a prat she'utzarech l'chlal, but again, it means the specific statement that the prat is not, the definition of the prat is not clear until you have the klal, then that's the rule of prat she'utzarech l'chlal. We'll do one more tonight, and that is the 8th rule, and that is kol davar shahaya b'chlal, anything that was included in a general category, v'yatsa min haklal lalamid. The Torah singled it out to teach something, loy lalamid al atzma yatsa, el lalamid al haklal kula yatsa. That din that's singled out is not only by that specific case, it's teaching us a rule by the general klal as well. And the pshat in this is understood with the example from Parshas Tzav, that it says there that any tamei person is not allowed to eat basar kachim. Meat of a carbon is not allowed to be consumed by a tamei person. Kol tahar yochal basar. Only a tahar person is allowed to eat the basar of kachim. But right afterwards it says, v'hanefesh asher toichal basar mizevach hashlamim Asher loy, Asher Hashem v'tumasa yalav. Anyone who's tamei and he eats basar of a shlamim, v'nichras ha'nefesh ahi me'ameh, then he gets kares. So on one hand, the Torah said a klal that any tamei person can't eat basar kachim, but then it was singled out a din. It was yatzam and haklal lamed by shlamim specifically. It said that there's kares. So you might think, when does a tamei person who eats meat get kares? A tamei person who eats basar kachim get kares? Only if he eats shlamim, but not if he eats a chatos or not if he eats any other karbanas, because the pasuk was said specifically mizavach hashlamim. But this rule tells us not like that. Kol davar shahaya b'chlal, it was in the general category of karbanas, and the shlamim was singled out to teach us the rule of kares. Loy lalamid atzma yatsa. It's not only teaching us a rule by shlamim, el lalamid al haklal kula yatsa, that by every carbon, a tamei person that eats that carbon is chayiv kares because of this pasuk, even though the pasuk singled out shlamim, because it's lalamid ala klal kula yatsa. And we'll just end by saying an interesting drush on this midah sha'atayr nidrashes, the pashup pshat and the midas, as we just explained. But there's a maisa that my father writes in one of his books of a Mexican gvir, a rich person who gave money to a yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, and he spoke at the inauguration of the yeshiva in Ashdod it was, and he said, you might be wondering why I'm giving money to support Torah in Eretz Yisrael. And he said that he survived the Holocaust and a lot of his family members and friends did not survive the Holocaust. And he was wondering, in what schus does he have that why did Hashem save him and not the remainder of his family? And he said, obviously if Hashem saved him, it's not just so that he could live his own life peacefully and happily. It's that he should be able to be mashpia and to help other people. And if Hashem gave him money to be able to support others, so he wants to share his wealth and be involved in the schus HaTorah and help this yeshiva in Ashdod. And he dashed it from this nusach, kol davar shahaya b'chlal, anyone who was in a general group, v'yatsa min hachlal, and he went out of the group. Most of the group was killed. But he wasn't, he was spared. So, loy lalamid al atzma yatsa. He wasn't just saved in order to save himself. El lalamid al klal kula yatsa, he has an achrayis to the klal. So, of course, this drush is not pshat in this midah sha'atayra nedreshes behen, but everyone liked the drasha anyway because it came along with a big donation. But lamaisa, this was an interesting insight that this wealthy yid from Mexico darshaned about this. And the truth is, once we have our minds open to such a drush, we could maybe say something similar in terms of the olam hatayra. That we know that there are many talented people who can learn very clearly and thoroughly. So a person who is yotzam and achlal, he's a yotzam and achlal, that he has an exceptional koyach, that he's able to clarify things to himself and to others. Lo lalamid al atzma yatsa. He shouldn't be selfish and keep the Torah to himself. Lo lalamid al klal kula yatsa. Klal Yisrael needs good rabbeim. Klal Yisrael needs good mashpiyim. If someone has a koyach that they're able to give it over, so you should learn from this midah that lo lamed al atzma yatsa el lamed al klal kula yatsa. But again, the pashup pshat in the drasha is that if the Torah singles out this halacha in the yotzim and aklal, it doesn't mean that this is an exception. Adarabba, it's malamed al klal kulay. That is the drasha here, the 8th drasha in the Baraisa de Rabbi Yishmael.